Have you ever wondered if there's a roadmap for building a happy, healthy relationship? Well, today we're diving into a philosophy that's designed to do just that for women. It's called the Fireverse, created by Blaize On'Fyah, and it's all about helping women find real, reciprocal love. So let's unpack it.
And you really can't get a better introduction to this world than from the creator herself. This is exactly how she welcomes her audience, setting this really warm, personal tone right from the get-go.
So what exactly is the Fireverse? Well, it's an online course, a self-help series, but what I think is so interesting is its foundation. Blaize On'Fyah built it by mashing up global research and analytics with her own life experiences, and it's all pointed at one single goal: helping women build better, more fulfilling relationships.
Okay, so the Fireverse is built on three main pillars. We're going to start with the first one, which kicks things off with a pretty fundamental question. It grounds all the advice in research and data to figure out what men are actually looking for in a partner.
So Pillar 1 just gets right to it, asking a question that, let's be honest, people have been asking forever. But the Fireverse tries to answer it not with just opinions, but with compiled studies and data. So let's take a look at what the research actually suggests.
Right off the bat, the research presented here makes a really key distinction. This is all about what happens after that initial spark. Sure, physical attraction might get your foot in the door, but it's these personality traits that are the real deal for the long term. Things like emotional stability, intelligence, kindness. That's the stuff a lasting connection is built on. But it's not just about character traits. This philosophy also points to other huge factors. Aesthetics, yeah, they're mentioned as a sign of health, but what's framed as just as crucial, if not more, is companionship and a real emotional connection. The desire for a loving, fun partner to just share life with. That's a huge theme here.
Okay, so if Pillar 1 was the what from the research, then Pillar 2 is all about the how. This is where the framework gets really practical, shifting from theory to specific things you can actually do to build respect and desire. I love this slide because it breaks it down so clearly. You've got two core actions: making him feel respected and making him feel wanted. On the left, respect is about stuff like trusting him without micromanaging and having his back in public. Then on the right, feeling wanted comes from active appreciation and being his biggest cheerleader. It's all about moving from just feeling something to actually doing something.
All right, now for the third and final pillar of the Fireverse. In this one, it takes a bit of a different turn. It introduces a spiritual dimension, drawing on biblical principles and focusing specifically on the role of a wife within the relationship. And the cornerstone of this entire spiritual pillar is this one verse from Ephesians. Within this framework, a wife's respect is presented as this foundational, unconditional command, and it's seen as the direct mirror to the command for a husband to love his wife.
And building on that idea of respect, this approach brings in other principles from Scripture. You have the concept of submission, which, and this is important, is defined here as voluntarily adapting to a husband's leadership. That's paired with the idea of doing him good, being a trustworthy, beneficial partner.
And this brings us to a really crucial point that's kind of the bedrock for all the spiritual advice in the Fireverse. The philosophy consistently hammers home this core belief that inner character and those spiritual qualities are just way more valuable and long-lasting than what's on the outside.
So, to make that idea more concrete, this part of the program basically gives you a roadmap. It lays out 5 key spiritual qualities to work on, using the model from Proverbs 31. This isn't just about belief, it's about actively developing traits like wisdom in how you speak, trustworthiness, and a spirit of service to your family and your community.
So, we've gone through all 3 pillars: the research, the actions, the spiritual side. But now we get to what Blaize On'Fyah says is the single most critical piece of the entire puzzle. It's the one thing you have to do before any of the other advice can even begin to work.
And she doesn't mince words about it. Her own quote here is so powerful. She argues that if you're not a whole, well-rounded, healed woman, it's going to be almost impossible to even accept this advice, let alone apply it. So according to the Fireverse, the entire journey has to start with healing yourself.
The framework is also really quick to call out a common misinterpretation. It makes it super clear that this is not about being a doormat or lowering your standards. It's actually framed as the total opposite, as an act of self-love that's all about healing so you can show up in a relationship from a place of genuine strength and wholeness.
So we end up right back where the Fireverse itself begins, with you, with your own personal healing.
It just shows that this entire framework, with all its pillars and advice, it really all rests on that foundation of self-love and wholeness first. Which kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about. What does being a whole and healed person truly mean to you?